6-0.
Yes, Leipzig have got lots of work to do under their new coach, Ole Werner. They missed out on Europe last season and it has not been the best of starts. As for Bayern, as Ale mentioned, 6 goals for their opener. Full steam ahead from Vincent Kompany's men. We had our boys on the ground at the Allianz Arena today. Archie Rintot, Thomas Hitzelsberger and Jan Arge-Fjordtoft. We'll be hearing from them in just a moment. Let me start with you though, Ale, on your takeaways from what we saw today.
Our first comment into this match was, we know what we're gonna get from Bayern Munich. We have a really good idea as to what this team is and what the potential of this group is. We've already seen it last year in Bundesliga competition. We were expecting that finding a contender or a team that would actually put up a fight against Bayern Munich was gonna be difficult. And if you're like me, coming into this match and coming into this season thinking, I just don't see a contender, you watch a performance like this by Bayern Munich and you say to yourself, it's over! It's over! It's over before it even starts. This version of Bayern Munich is too good for anybody in Bundesliga, and certainly too good for a team like Leipzig. But let me just say, while Bayern Munich were outstanding on the night, Leipzig, horrendous, terrible. Don't know what their game plan was, and you have players out on the field. Xavi Simons looked like a player that he's no longer going to play for Leipzig. That's how disinterested the performance was, and he wasn't the only one. But regardless, focusing on Bayern Munich. 6-0, could have been more, but what's even more encouraging if you're a Bayern Munich fan is the combination play that led to the goals. It's how sharp that combination was between the front three, how good Michael Olise was, how good Luis Diaz was, and then how good and explosive Harry Kane was, and the runners that are willing to get beyond Harry Kane when he becomes a playmaker. All of those things put together make Bayern Munich unstoppable in Bundesliga. They're still a little light in numbers when we think of depth and this team actually challenging in Europe, but in Bundesliga play, nobody can keep up with this version of Bayern Munich.
Well, that's a good point, isn't it, Archie? That's the backdrop right now. This does appear to be a Bayern Munich side that's still not complete for the season right now.
Exactly, Kay. And when we consider the hysteria that there had been in the Munich media here about, well, are there enough players in this squad? Which, I say hysteria, I think they were reasonable questions to be asked when you lose the players that they had. But consider, Thomas, that without Jamal Musiala, their attack against what is the team with the 3rd biggest budget in the league have smashed them 6-0. You don't win the league in August, but you can make a big statement.
Yeah, there's so many takeaways from this game, but, you know, before the game, as you just said, we criticised Bayern for the transfer policy. And even after tonight, it's still difficult for me to say how good are they really, what is missing, because normally after such a game, you'd say, everything's fine. They're going to win the Bundesliga easily. But then it brings me to the team they played tonight, RB Leipzig. It is one of those teams you can have difficulties with, but they looked awful. Almost throughout the game, they were so bad that I'm thinking, what is going on in this Bundesliga? Is there any other team that can compete with Bayern? I don't think it will be quiet next week with Bayern, but this performance is so encouraging for Vincent Kompany and probably Max Eberl, who mentioned him before the game. He will have a good night's sleep.
But listen, we can't compare Bayern with Leipzig. I mean, they missed out on Europe last season. They seem to miss out on Germany this season. I mean, this is a terrible performance. This is not a contender. Yes, I know they have the budget. Yes, they have the 3rd biggest budget, but that was terrible out there today. I mean, they did everything wrong. And it was a perfect night for Bayern Munich because they let the old guys like Kane and people like scoring a hat-trick, but also they had some time to put the young kids on to get them going. In terms of Simmons, I'm glad he didn't play today because he was on the pitch, but he was away. So there are things like that to sort out. But Bayern's standard is not RB Leipzig. I don't think they will be a main contender for them, but it's an unbelievable statement of them. And we saw Ole Werner, he put the teams together in the halfway line. A bit too late to analyze the game. Should have done that before the game, maybe.
Ale was talking about the neat interplay of Bayern, which is something we didn't see as much last season. I would say a lot of it was their intensity and the hunger that Vincent Kompany always spoke about. But something that we have always spoken about, and understandably, is Harry Kane. Because he has scored what they call in Germany, Kay, a Lupenreiner hat-trick, which Thomas will explain is...
3 goals in a row in one half with no other player scoring in between. That's what he did. He was convincing last season, and again this season he does deliver. He doesn't speak much, that's why it's also surprising to me to say he's a leader of the group, but he's a player that leads by example on the pitch. Doesn't say much, but the performance speaks for itself.
So, to sum up from what you guys are saying, it's very good, but we would like to see some more. Of this Bayern team.
Yeah, but we will see more. I think it always depends on the teams that show up here. If they all come to the Allianz Arena and just do what Leipzig did, this is going to be the easiest season for Bayern, but I don't expect that to happen.
Now, and I think that is important to say, RB Leipzig looked terrible today. That said, not take away anything from Bayern, because as you were saying, this hunger today, they wanted to show you, this is they won in the Super Cup. Now they're starting here with a statement. And yes, we were talking about the transfer window, that will keep on. They will need 1 or 2 players to be good in the Champions League and maybe against a Dortmund, Frankfurt, Leverkusen, let's see. But anyway, they need more players, but today, wow, very impressive.
Jan, Thomas, thank you very much for now. Sending it back to UK, Bayern looking imperious. Leipzig, not so much. He was talking about the way that you track back, the way that you work for the team. That must also sing to your heart because, sure, the goals, we expect it from you now, but it must be nice to have the whole package valued.
No, 100%, and I think this is what we've been building with the new coach here, with the team. It doesn't matter who you are in this team, how many games you played, how many goals you scored, you work and you track back and you do your bit in defence as much as attack. So of course I'm going to be judged on goals and how many I score, I know that, but between us we know what we do for each other, and it was another great performance out there today.
But Harry, I have 2 questions. First of all, where is your match ball?
It's in there getting signed.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. But secondly, we've seen so many great goal scorers over the generations, but the way you go so deep, we're discussing, oh, Harry is a bit deep, isn't he? And then 14 minutes later, you've scored a hat-trick. That way of getting to chances, how much is that into your tactical mind?
Yeah, because I think sometimes in games, especially when you come up against good teams, you know, defenders like to see you, they like to touch you, they like to man mark you. So in games like this, when it's a bit open, I like to drop and almost come into the box late.
Obviously, when you play for England, it was a similar role.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy that, or do you feel like sometimes it would be nice to get a rest up front?
No, I enjoy it, to be honest. I think sometimes as a number 9, you know, you don't always get involved in the game, and you know, throughout my career, I feel like, you know, sometimes I'm too good on the ball not to touch it enough. So I try and help the team in that sense, but. Again, each game will be different. You know, there'll be games where we'll play against low block, and they'll need me as a 9. They'll need me in the box to get on crosses and things like that. Games like this, when it's a bit more man for man, you know, it causes the centre backs a bit of a problem if I'm dropping deep. So I feel comfortable in both, but ultimately, as long as I'm scoring goals in the end, I think the coach will be fine with it.
And do you know how many Bundesliga hat-tricks you now have?
Well, in Germany they say I've only got 3 official hat-tricks, because you have to score.
Don't listen to them. Don't listen to them.
The Bundesliga is tough, really is.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe 9 or.
Nearly.
8, but 9 in total. So
Okay.
I was going to say, don't you know that from just going home and being like, right, on the shelf there, we've got 1, 2.
Well, it's funny, my son asked me what ball he was playing with today, because he hasn't got one of these new ones yet, so he'll be happy to have
we
that one.
concerned that Michael Olise would also score a hat-trick. What would you have done then between you? Only 1 match ball.
There's enough balls around here. We've both got one, I think, for sure.
But Harry, the last days now, you're talking about that thin squad. What do you see now today when you start with a 6? Is it enough now?
No, I think like from a player's point of view, we can only control what we do on the pitch. I think the message we sent to everyone, the league, is that we're ready. We're ready for any situation, any squad. Ultimately, yeah, we've got a thin squad. There's still, you know, 8 or 9 days until the window, so we'll see if we do some business, but it's out of our control as players. We have to just focus on what we can do, and that's going out on the pitch and performing like that.
Well, we're going to see Bundesliga Shaka this week for the first time. Oh, no, the second time this season.
Yeah.
Wiesbaden against Bayern coming up in the Pokal. Early stages, Wednesday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern. It's been quite the start for the season for Bayern. Can they keep the good times rolling on Wednesday? So it was a great start for Bayern in the first Bundesliga game of the campaign. 6 goals they managed to put past Leipzig, 3 of them coming from Harry Kane. After the game, our guys caught up with Vincent Kompany, the Bayern manager.
If I was to ask about Harry Kane every week, there are reasons. So today, Michael Olise. two different kinds of goals, showing off the full range of his abilities. What can you say about the impact that he's made under you so far and what it's like working with him?
Because he's still young, so with players with his ability, with his talent, I don't need a lot of, from my side as a coach, I don't need to focus too much on go left, go right. Of course, we can talk about the details, but it's just to make sure that he has the right habits. Like, you can't see this as a ceiling. That's the biggest thing for me. You start last season that way, and he played himself into becoming a big player for this club and I think in European football. But it's not enough, and all I'm doing is observing, making sure that he keeps that hunger, he keeps those good habits, but he does it, and then when he performs, obviously it's very clear for everyone how talented he is.
Vincent, we'll see you in Wiesbaden. Thank you very much.
About Harry, sure.
You've done me.
Who is Harry? Who is Harry?
Cheers.
See you, take care.
Goes back-to-back 1-0 wins for PSG, a winning start to the season of Luis Enrique's men. Let's welcome in a Frenchman now, in the form of Frank Leboeuf, to talk more about what we've seen here. 2 wins from 2 now, Frank, both by the minimum scoreline of 1-0 for PSG.
Yes, that's enough in terms of points, and more than enough. In terms of quality, we are still facing a team who is digesting, in fact, their summer, the last season. I feel them being better in terms of the physical aspect of the game. I saw Barcola tracking back, working hard for the team. I feel that the players are more ready physically, but they're still short technically. We can't find what we found at the end of the season, but I think it's coming up. It's getting a little bit better. It's not there yet. It's not the Paris Saint-Germain that we have seen lately, but the spirit is there, and as long as you score 1 goal and you win, and you get the 3 points, that's more than enough.
Well, it gets us to the point, Stevie, doesn't it? And I know we talk about it when it comes to Ligue 1, but PSG being the team that they are, how do they maintain their focus throughout the league season to ensure that when it comes to those Champions League games, they are on top form?
Well, I think they know how to do that. They certainly did it at the second part of the season. I think for right now, they look as though they need to get back to full fitness, because clearly they're not as sharp as certainly when they're at their best. So I think it's step one, and that is to get into that position. And then from there, they follow exactly the same rules, training, whatever it was that got them so sharp, regardless of the opposition, whether it was Liga, whether it was Champions League, it didn't really matter. This team was at it. So for me, I don't think that is going to be a problem. Right now, I think they need to get back to that full sharpness, fully 100% fit, because right now they're not.
And at some point, I think it's fair to have the conversation about the Club World Cup. And when Frank just mentioned there where they were physically towards the end of last season was basically a month ago. And so where is the recovery for these players, this sharpness that Stevie's talking about? Well, yeah, they want to take some time off, but they really can't take a lot of time off, because now the season starts and you have the European Super Cup and this, that, and the other, and we're back into competing for things that count for something, and you haven't had the time to decompress. You haven't had the time to, okay, let me take a breath here. Like, okay, all right, let's relax for a bit. That hasn't happened for PSG, and it hasn't happened for Chelsea, and it hasn't happened for the teams that had this long run and deep run in the Club World Cup. And eventually these things are going to begin to show up. Cole Palmer was missing today with a niggly injury. Where do you think these things happen from? Well, because you've been playing non-stop. I don't know when this break is going to be for PSG, and I don't know whether they're going to be able to just get themselves going again automatically. These things are going to continue to show up. So even though you're not playing at your best and you're still winning games, that's useful for this group. It's useful for Luis Enrique. But eventually, they're going to have to get better performance out of themselves, because they're now in a different conversation, PSG. It's no longer about whether they're going to win Ligue 1 or not. That's obviously the case, and we think that that's going to be the case regardless. The conversation of PSG, that they're at the elite level of European football. And if that's the case, there's an expectation that comes with being that. So you have to be far better than what they have been so far this season.
This young team is actually going to go through now the experience of having to be at their best week in and week out. You know, when you're climbing the mountain, it's great, and you just keep going and you keep going and you keep going, and you don't think about how it happened or how you're doing it, you're just doing it. But once you get to the top and you want to stay there, now you've got to try and understand how you got there and how to stay there. And so this is a learning experience, because this is a young team. And right now there'll be 3 or 4 of those young guys running around trying to figure out why my legs are not underneath me, because they're not used to it. They're used to just being able to play, not under too much pressure, and just get on with it. Not anymore. Every single time they step on the field now, there's an expectation. And that takes experience to figure it out and then produce it week in, week out, game in, game out.
Are there concerns about this in France, Frank, about how they're going to maintain the success that they've had, and also that Club World Cup potentially catching up with them?
I wouldn't say that people are concerned, as people are watching it and they want to see if Paris Saint-Germain or the players will be able to handle that the end of the last season. And as Ali said, it's like a month ago, not even a month ago. So how are they going to digest everything, and if they can perform the same way they performed at the same level last season? As Stevie explained, the consistency matters in that matter, and it's what it is. What Liverpool was able to do on Stevie's era is confirming what they were able to do a season before. And that's how you get big. It's how you get the respect from the others. Paris Saint-Germain have done something exceptional last season. People are watching it, they see, and there are expectations. They want to see if they are capable of doing again. If they're capable of doing again with the same level, technically, physically, tactically, they can win the Champions League again. They can, well, at least fight against Liverpool, Real Madrid, whoever it can be, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and that's what we want to see. We want to see Paris Saint-Germain at the same level and say, okay, that team, that club has settled down, and they have a level now. And that's what we all want to see. But we all know, if we know football, that it's going to take a time. They have, again, to digest the World Cup, the Club World Cup, also the fact that they won the Champions League, and they need some rest.
So how does Luis Enrique manage that, Stevie?
Well, I think they're lucky that they've got a manager in him that's been through it before. And he knows where the level is, and he knows how to keep a team at that level. He did it with Barcelona. So they've got the perfect guy in charge. It comes down to him and his staff. You have to, individually, certain players sometimes need a rest, sometimes need pushed, sometimes need told to go home and have a couple of days off. This is the intangibles of football at this level. Because you can train and you can play, but there are certain little things that you need to do in order to stay at the top of the mountain that I was talking about. And that becomes individually where the coaching staff and the manager need to make sure they know their players inside out, which I'm sure he does. And then you have to take the appropriate steps. As I said, whether it's giving somebody a few days off or pushing somebody else or whatever it may be. Those little intangibles are what will keep PSG at the top.
And you're talking about intangibles, Stevie. I'm going to address the physical aspect of the game. When we highlighted some of the best things that PSG did towards the end of last season in the Champions League run, is their willingness to go and press the ball together. So you see Dembele running after the ball. You see Doué going and pressing opposing defenders. You see a team that is working together physically. And that is something that takes a lot of work. That takes a lot of sacrifice. That takes a lot of legs. If you don't have the legs underneath you, as Stevie was talking about earlier, then it's difficult to go and press together. It's difficult to do it individually. It's difficult to do it as a group. And now you're not nearly as dominant as you were towards the end of last year. It's going to take time. But how do you rest while the season is already going on? That's going to be the challenge.
Let's now welcome in Julien Laurent to talk more about what we saw in this game. Hello, Jules. Great to have you with us. Chelsea coming from behind there to get a big win and pile the misery on West Ham in this early stages of the season.
Yeah, and without Cole Palmer as well, who was supposed to start and then got injured during the warm-up. That's why Estevao started and had a really good first start for Chelsea in the Premier League this season. I mean, we won't repeat what we said last season about Graham Potter and how overrated he is and not good he is. He's not good enough as a manager in the Premier League. We've said that enough last season when he had not a very good time after taking over Julen Lopetegui, but the start of the season is horrendous for West Ham. The defeat at Sunderland was bad enough last weekend. This is probably even worse because yes, they took the league with that Paqueta's solo goal, but after that they were just non-existent, completely overplayed by a Chelsea team that is still not ready physically. And you could see Estevao was bright and sharp because he had a proper pre-season during the Club World Cup and before that and in between, whereas the others are still getting to grips with their fitness. So it's just another bad night for Graham Potter and West Ham, and a very good one for Chelsea after the draw that we saw against Palace last weekend.
Yeah, and a very good one for Chelsea as well, Frank, given the fact that, as Jules mentioned, Cole Palmer did pull up injured in the warm-up.
Yes, and it was for us an opportunity to see João Pedro taking the positioning of Cole Palmer, and that was quite effective. So we talked about it last week, and we can see that there is a possibility that Cole Palmer can rest at some time. I don't know how long he's going to be injured, and João Pedro can take over, so that was a good thing. Yes, the players are not physically at 100%, not ready yet, but West Ham did exactly what they had to do to make sure that Chelsea wins. They opened the doors, and the front line is so fast, so technically good that it's impossible to cope with them. So we saw last week that with a team who knows how to defend, like Crystal Palace, it's very hard for Chelsea to find spaces and to give pace into the game. Today, except the first 10 minutes, that was easy peasy for everybody, and there was a one-way traffic. So well done to the players. They reacted well. They scored many goals. Full of confidence, perfect for Chelsea.
They were certainly helped along by West Ham's defence today. However, Enzo Maresca has talked about being more efficient in front of goals, and after no goals against Crystal Palace last time out, 5 today has got to make him happy.
Yeah, again, you can only play what's put in front of you, and so from that point of view, you're creating chances, both in open play and from set pieces. You're taking them, and you could maybe have done better with 2 or 3 other ones. And as Frank said, they're not 100% fit. So if you're a Chelsea fan or Maresca, you're absolutely delighted with this performance. I mean, coming into it without Cole Palmer as well. Again, if you're Maresca, you're thinking, oh no, I'm going to have to play the kid. But again, as Joe said, the kid was fantastic for the first half.
Estevao coming in and making that difference, making an impact, another great sign.
Yeah, and I think what you can appreciate from Estevao right away, that even though he may be slight in terms of his size, in terms of the lack of physicality, if you will, he has no fear. He takes on defenders, gets a hold of the ball, and I'm facing up, I'm getting after somebody, I'm going to dribble somebody, I'm going to take on a defender, I'm going to be a difference maker. If you had any doubts as to what is it that you can do in this league, you would take a touch back and then kind of find support from the trailing player and then kind of make yourself available, 1 and 2 touches, and we move on with our lives. Estevao, anytime he grabs the ball, he's saying, I'm going after this guy. I'm not even thinking about playing backwards. I'm already positioned my body to get after defenders. Now, it helps to get after the West Ham defenders. That also helps quite a bit because they can't move. They cannot move. Even playing with 3 center defenders, they stay so tight because they don't want to go out into wide areas. And the reason they don't want to go out into wide areas is because on the turn, it's difficult for them to get on the move and get on the turn. Estevao took full advantage of that. Chelsea took full advantage of that. It was impressive from Chelsea's perspective in the attack, and it was impressive from Estevao's perspective as well. Yeah,
elsewhere in the Premier League, we must talk about Nottingham Forest, where there seems to be a strange situation unfolding. Obviously, you'll remember what they did last season. We saw a big win from them on the opening day. They are in the Europa League group stages, but the future of Nuno Espirito Santo is very much in doubt after he spoke publicly about his role and his relationship with Nottingham Forest owner Evangelos Marinakis. Jules, what the heck has happened here?
I mean, once I'm quite surprised that Nuno, who's a really experienced manager just comes out publicly like that and in a way throws under the bus a little bit his boss and the club's owner. And I think we often say on the show, it's good to be honest and transparent. We all for that. Sometimes it's probably a better thing if you keep, especially these kind of issues, behind closed doors, and you sort them out with your own owner instead of making them publicly to the whole world like Nuno did, because I think the door was already open for Nuno to be in trouble in case the results are not there for Forest, and there were tensions already through the whole summer with the recruitment, with the pre-season results. I mean, before the win against Brentford last weekend, Forest had 7 games in pre-season, 5 0-0 draws and 2 defeats. That's why Marinakis was not happy going into the season, because for what he saw in pre-season before the start of the Premier League, things were not good at all. And on the other hand, Nuno was not happy because there was not enough reinforcement for his squad and not new signings enough for him. The club was waiting to see if they were in the Europa League or Conference League, which came quite late in July, but still, so already there was a lot of tension between them two on where the squad was at that time, just before the start of the season. And he started well against Brentford, but those tensions are still very much there. And I think Marinakis also knows that the team overperformed last season. I think we all agree on that, and that it would be difficult to do the same. But I also think that Nuno deserves credit for what happened, and that credit buys him a bit of time, right? Although now I really believe that 2 or 3 defeats in a row and he'd be gone.
So yeah, is he really going to be sacked, especially after saying things like that? Is that what's being expected in England after this whole situation?
Yeah, I think Marinakis was not so happy with the start of the season. I know they won against Brentford last weekend, but it's the first game of the season. Marinakis was not happy at all. I was told this afternoon about the press conference. Not happy at all that Nuno came out in the way he did and spoke the way he did. The little clip that we just heard, but there was a little bit more as well in that press conference. And in a way, we all know what kind of guy Marinakis is. You just don't really mess up with him. I think there are some sort of owners where you can always make up and move on and things like that. Marinakis is not really that kind of owner. So I fear a little bit for what could happen for Nuno if Forest don't win 2 or 3 games in a row.
I mean, it just smells big time. And absolutely, I would not be shocked if Nuno doesn't get the tin tack very shortly. Because Nuno ain't coming out with that unless he knows it's coming.
I think we all, here in this panel, Jules as well as Frank, we all have as good a chance of coaching Nottingham Forest as Nuno does from here on out. He has... When you come out and say what you say, in the best of circumstances, with the best of owners, it's explosive. But in this circumstance, it's essentially saying, fire me, baby, and pay me out. That's exactly what's happening here. Yeah, you want to fire me? Go ahead. You're going to have to pay me out. That's the way it's going to work. I don't think Nuno wants any part of this going forward either. I don't think he wants to work with this guy, but he doesn't want to walk out because he wants to be paid out. That is the dynamic of what's happening here. And like I said before, we all have as good a chance of being the manager for Nottingham Forest as Nuno does from here on out.
Fancy that role, Frank? You get the final say on this.
I'm not sure. I have so many things to do in my life, but I agree with the guys. I think Nuno already called the movers and he's ready to leave anytime soon. When you make that kind of comment, it's like an invitation of being sacked, and it's what he wants. He doesn't want to carry on what we saw at the end of the season and the comment that the owner made during the preseason. I think Nuno is fed up. He wants to go. He wants to find another experience, and it's always hard, when you have an owner, a chairman really into the game, going into the dressing room. I've seen that with Marseille, with Bernard Tapie. Coaches are fed up with that. They feel that they don't handle anything, and they'd rather go away and leave that to others. And I think it's what Nuno wants already.
Yeah, we must say before we say goodbye to Jules, very nice new room behind him there.
Is that?
Nice red halls.
Is that a
light coming through? Skylight.
Professional. I mean, it's not as professional as some of the other things we have seen from Jules, but
It looks like his head's holding up the ceiling.
Yeah. Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. We have Ali and Stevie here in the studio. Frank Leboeuf is joining us as well. Go, Frank.
Can I interfere? I
don't
just
tell me
heard at the end
Frank
of the
knows
show
Donald.
that the World Cup is in DC now.
Correct. The World Cup draw. The World Cup draw, Frank.
Yeah, the draw. But
Yes.
I had to go to Vegas. I had to go to Vegas for that. It was planned. So now I have to go to DC.
Yeah.
Not the same story.
That's
Oh,
okay,
wow.
Frank. That means you're closer to
That's
the
not-
studio, so you can come and put a few shifts in here as well.
Oh, that was planned too. But I was thinking about getting a little bit of sun before, coming to the studio. But whatever.
Yes, December in DC. I think that you'll still be in charge of that one. Let's get you guys with your questions that we've asked to put out there. I don't have them in front of me. So
You need my.
I don't even think they're there.
You're asking for my change
so,
of pace.
no, they're not even there. So we
Sprint!
don't even need your. We don't even need your.
Oh, I was ready.
Your pacey frame. Okay, first up, we've got for Stevie. Can you name all the professional clubs that Frank played for?
I think 2, Marseille and Chelsea.
I got.
I know one more at least.
Strasbourg.
Correct.
Right.
Wasn't it Laval or something like that? I'm gonna.
Yeah.
And whatever the team was in Qatar, but I mean,
Yeah.
look, if you're gonna
Al
expect,
Sadd and Al
obviously.
Wakla. Oh, come on. I won the championship with Al Sadd, so you have to name it. Come on,
I'm sorry,
that was
Frank. I'm sorry. Hey, my apologies. My bad.
And
You're right.
then there was
That's okay,
the
forgiven.
small matter of the national team that he won the World Cup
Yeah,
with.
but that's not a club.
Doesn't count.
It says professional club.
Professional clubs, fair enough. Frank, did we miss any?
Are you stalling because you wrote the question?
No, I've got them now.
No. You spot on. Stevie named my 2 last big clubs, Chelsea and after Marseille. And Ali was aware about my starting career with Laval and Strasbourg, and then I moved to Qatar for the last 2 years to know a little bit more, to bring a little bit more football in the Middle East.
You're doing it for the people. You're doing it for the people.
Yeah.
Sure.
Put it this way, he went with
how generous I can be.
Yeah.
Frank went there with 2 empty suitcases and came home with 2 full ones.
Yes, absolutely. And we all know what you're saying. Okay. What outcasted United player do you think will have the brightest future after leaving? Sancho, Anthony, or Garnacho?
Yikes.
Got to be Garnacho, isn't it?
I don't want to answer to that.
Yeah, I know. You go ahead, Stevie. You take it on.
I think Sancho, for me, at the top level, done. I don't think Anthony was ever going to be good enough to get to the top level. But Garnacho's still, he's still only, 21?
It's very young.
He has got talent, so he's got a chance. Of the 3, I would say Garnacho's got a chance.
Okay.
But if he's gonna cash in on that chance, there's got to be an attitude adjustment that has to happen right now.
Yep.
Right now.
What is the proper way, Ale, to handle Estevao? Surely must continue in the team playing how he is.
The proper way to handle Estevao from a coaching perspective,
I wonder if
imagine.
it is that, now that we've seen him come in today.
Well, you don't have to rush him, but you know that he can be productive if you put him on the field, and that's a great place to be if you're Enzo Maresca. Now, if you have an injury to Cole Palmer, as it seems to be the case for now, then you have a ready-made answer for that question. You can actually trust this kid, because he is a kid, to come on the field and make a difference, be impactful. I think it's a really good scenario for Enzo Maresca and a really good scenario for Estevao as well. He's going to get opportunities to play. There's no fear in the way he approaches his games and the way that he approaches the appearances that he has had for Chelsea. I think everybody involved in this equation is looking at this and saying, yeah, I like it. I like how things are going so far.
Yeah. I still remember when he'd first come and people were struggling with his name, and one of our young Brazilian producers said, "It's like Steven, but it's Estevao." Do you remember? I know our producer right now remembers that one. Yeah, shout out to Vitor with that one. Okay, who was the most devastating loss of your career, or what was the most devastating loss of your career? The one which still hurts, and what was the dressing room like after the match? Frank.
Mine was the Marseille, the Classico Marseille against Paris Saint-Germain. We were already losing 1-0. And I tried to change side with a long range pass, and I absolutely completely missed the pass, and I gave the ball straight to Ronaldinho's legs, and the guy was fast. And I tried to run to, cope with the situation, and let's say that I arrived a little bit too late. I made a bad tackle just to, try to do something, and he scored the goal, and the game was over. 2-0 at home. Yeah, that was hard. It's not that I didn't sleep well, but it hurts me because you feel like you betrayed the players, the club, and the fans, and you are responsible for that. But that's part of our career, our work, and that's what happened to me.
Ale?
2011 Copa America semi-final against Paraguay. We were better. We hit the post. I hit the post. Should have scored, didn't, went to penalties, lost in penalties, and what an opportunity we had there. We already made history in getting to the semifinals. It's the best we've ever done in the competition. But again, we were better than Paraguay, should have won the match, did not, lost it in penalties, and thought, and there was a chance there for us to continue to ride that momentum. And when it's happening, obviously it's disappointing because you just lost, but it got worse as time went on, because you begin to appreciate the things that you had done to get to that point and what might have been had you advanced into the final. I don't think that the locker room was devastated afterwards, because you lose in penalties, you're trying to console the guy that missed it, and you're proud of the work that you've done. But as you remove yourself from the situation and everybody goes their separate ways, you kind of go, man, there was a chance there for us to do something really, really special.
Stevie?
Unfortunately, this is a very simple answer for me. We lost at home to Arsenal in the last game of the season in '89 to lose the title. And we could have, if we'd lost 1-0, we'd still have won it. And we lost 2-0. And it came 5 weeks after the Hillsborough disaster. So just everything piled on on top. And so the dressing room, I can't even remember, but I can remember being like a zombie myself. Just, everyone was just dulled down, there was nothing. So, yeah, unfortunately a very easy one for me to answer.
Yeah, unfortunately it was. Guys, will West Ham get relegated?
Oh. Sorry, Al, you go.
It smells bad.
Let me make some of that same noise.
It smells really bad.
It looks awful. It really does. And the troubling part is that it doesn't seem as if there is a plan in place to where you can, if you're having a bad game, if you're West Ham, this is a reset position. This is where we come together, and this is what we need to do in order to grind something out. This team is all over the shop. There doesn't seem to be a plan in place, and whatever plan in place, it doesn't match the player personnel that you have available on the field. If it is based upon the evidence that we have seen over the last couple of weeks, the answer is 100% yes.
I'd say they have to be in the equation. I mean, it's not just the fact that the first two games have been really, really bad.
And they've conceded 8.
And they've conceded 8. The fact is that they can't change anything. The personnel they have on the field is their best 11. And actually, their best 11, other than Jared Bowen, I don't think there's anybody else gets in another. What? I mean, here's a great example, West Ham. They go and sign Hermansen, the goalkeeper from Leicester. Now, there's a reason Leicester have been so poor, because they haven't had a goalkeeper since Schmeichel. And Hermansen was terrible at Leicester, but yet they sign him, and he plays today, and he comes out flapping for one of the goals, gets nowhere near any of the goals. The back three, I mean, in fact, the whole team is big and slow. All the way through. The middle of the park, Ward-Prowse, Paquetá and Soucek. Soucek, yeah.
Sochu is a great player too.
Soucek.
He's slow too.
Sausages, call him sausages.
Like, neither of them can get around the field. And Fulkrug up front, is big. I mean, they're just big and slow. And so they have to be in the equation. Have to be.
You actually mentioned someone's name that's come up in the next question.
Sochu.
Not the sous chef. Mark Ogden said United have the worst number 1 and number 2 goalkeeper in the league. Would you rather have Onana or Hermansen in net?
Onana. Easily. Right?
Yeah.
Yes, Frank.
Yeah.
Herman Monster, by the way.
I don't think people are familiar with Herman Monster.
No, you sure?
I got it. I got the joke. I appreciated it.
I know Herman Monster.
Herman Monster, yeah. He'd have been better in goal today than.
Frank probably does in his acting ways. Know who Herman Monster is?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
French.
I don't know Herman Munster.
Of course, yes, you do. You've seen the monsters.
He doesn't even know Pepe Le Pew.
That's it.
He definitely doesn't know sous chef.
Sochu.
Yeah,
Get it right.
I don't
It's
know
Sochu.
sausages. No, I don't.
Soucek.
Okay. If you're Carlo Ancelotti, who's your starting striker, Richarlison or João Pedro?
No,
Yeah, I think that's
Or who,
it's easy, you know.
who is your starting striker, Richarlison and João Pedro?
no.
Oh.
It's
No,
either.
it's not even a,
Says
it's not even a
Yeah,
question.
I'd
There is
say
no
or.
debate.
Yeah, it's or.
Yeah, that's what it says in the question.
Oh, well, they've corrected it. It wasn't corrected here.
All right.
Are you okay?
I'm all right. I corrected it for myself, assuming it would be or. It is or.
Okay.
Right.
You didn't correct it. You said and.
It says and here.
Yeah, but you didn't correct it. You
I
said
did
you
the
correct.
rewind it back. I said or the first time.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we're going to
João
rewind it
Pedro
back.
is the answer to that.
Yes.
João Pedro.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
if he can't play, Sochu can be another option.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Stick him up front.
All right. All right.
Oh,
Thank you so much for sending in your questions, guys. We will be back tomorrow to do it all over again, and we finally got some league football to talk about.
All right.
See you tomorrow.
Oh.
what does that mean, Frank?
I think we have to stay
does that
on.
mean?
We're on tomorrow. Are you on tomorrow?
Of course I am.
Are you on tomorrow?
Aye.
Aye.
Me too.
Oh,
Yeah,
Frank.
yes, Frank.
Well, you know
Yes.
it's a party. Be sure to be with us on ESPN FC, available daily on ESPN+.